we've been searching for a place where we could come together from various religious backgrounds and spiritual backgrounds in order to celebrate some of these different festivals and spiritual ideas together as a group, like maybe once a month or once during special occasions. That isn't strictly Christian, it isn't strictly Buddhist or Hindu or whatever your path may be. And so we decided that we wanted to do something that is sort of outside the constraints of time and space, where we won't. They are not regularly scheduled events. They will happen when they're supposed to happen, and they will be in various places. Some of them will be here. Some will be at Sarah's new house, hopefully. Some will be out at Don and Jill and Jahari's place, and we're moving around, and we'll have different themes. But tonight is, of course, the spring equinox, so we wanted to have a special event for that, to celebrate that, because it's an important part of what we're doing. Does everybody, we don't all know each other, so does everybody want to say their names real quick? I know this is people.
Sure. My name is Jenny, and I'm Matt's wife, and we have these 3 kids.
Eliana, do you want to say?
My name's Eliana.
Okay.
My name's Jill.
My name is Dawn. Jill and I are together.
I'm Johari.
Johari.
Yourself.
I'm myself. I'm Matt.
Sarah.
I'm Lisa.
Pam.
I'm Mindy. I'm Isabella.
Jenna.
Robin.
Earl.
I'm Richard.
Aldana.
All right. And you guys saw Ailey.
One person.
Oh, you! Of course. Okay. You want to come up here and say your name?
Maybe.
Okay. Quickly. We must get on
My
with
name
the
is Abigail.
Abigail. Okay.
Well done.
And we have Ailey's running around here. Dave's in the back, and Wonkadoodle's running around here somewhere too. So tonight Sarah is going to lead us in a spring equinox ceremony, and we will start with an opening prayer. We'll light a candle.
What is spring equinox?
We'll get into all that during the ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll.
Clueless.
That's all right. We will talk about that stuff as the night progresses.
Thank you.
All right.
We're going to have our first technological failure there.
Lighting of the candle.
Wouldn't be the first. Wouldn't be the first. Won't be lost. I had really no idea what I was going to say for the opening prayer tonight, or the opening words, and then I opened a book that I use for various ceremonies, like weddings and house cleansings and various things that I find myself doing. And the very first thing that I came across was this, and I can't remember what in the world I used it for, or where it even came from, but I'm going to use this as the opening words, since it seems to be what I'm supposed to be using. And this says, "Come, small life, spark of light, take the wings of the earth. You are the son of honey, and of the sixth son you will carry your light to the world, and to light you will return." So now, at this time, we will allow the vibration of this singing bowl to draw us in and unify us, so that we are united in one vibration for this ceremony. Richard, would you mind coming up and...
Sure.
Richard has a background in, well, you do all your thing. We're going to learn a little bit about the scientific aspect of the spring equinox and what's happening with the Earth.
Yeah, and Matt just said, hey, would you mind talking a little bit about this? Because I'm connected with Smart Center Market, kind of a science outreach thing. And besides that, we're really into astronomy, and one of my personal things is archaeoastronomy. I'm very aware of places, just looking out over here, this used to be inhabited by lots and lots of folks for thousands of years. And some of the stuff that's been left behind by them is still available for people to notice if they care to. Like, for example, just one quick thing that I'll mention to you is if you are familiar with Moundsville and all the big mounds that are down there, the big mound that's in the middle, most people haven't looked into this very deeply, but you can go back to the original maps that people drew in the 1800s, and it's just apparent right on that from the mound itself, there's a clear, perfect east-west equinox line to towers and things that are on the other side, on the Ohio side and on the hills. So one of my personal interests locally is that area pretty much delineates not only all of the solstices, the equinox, but it also has some more specific things like the travel. The moon travels like in a cycle, what they call the northernmost rise and the least northern rise. It's a cycle just like a Chaco Canyon and all that. So in this area, we actually have something that's probably as amazing as all those places, but if you live in this area, most people are like, who cares, who knows? But literally, like I said, the Moundsville, the Great Mound itself is actually aligned with something that's a true celestial north. And there are things there are lines that are just absolutely there's an east-west line, which would have been the equinox, and then others that are less evident. But the equinox, today, when people think about calendars and things like that, a perfect example of what you run into is the fact that, well, when is Easter this year? The modern, I want to say modern religions, or people that look at holidays, let's say Thanksgiving, let's look at Easter. They're never the same because they're based halfway on celestial things that people knew about for thousands of years, and then they go, well, let's make it the third Sunday after this happens, or complicated things like that. Ancient civilizations, ancient peoples, and people even today, around the world, they know exactly when the equinox is. They know exactly when the winter solstice and the summer solstice, and there are lots of interesting ways that you can find that stuff out. And it hasn't changed. Math and all that stuff has still been around. The equinox basically comes from a word that means it basically means that you have equal amounts of daylight and nighttime. So it sort of stands for equal night. The night is equal to the day. And it's the point, the mathematical part of it comes from the fact that the Earth, the Earth is not actually, it's rotating on its axis, but the axis is actually tilted about 23.5 degrees. So it's got this tilt to it. So that means as it travels around the sun, the light that hits it is either very direct or it's stretched out. So like if you're tilted toward the sun, because of that angle and your place in the revolution, as it travels around the sun, in orbit around the sun, the light will either be coming right down on you like a hot summer's day, or if you're tilted the other way, it'll be slanted, out in the long thing, and so it's like spread out, and that's when wintertime comes. The equinox comes at a time halfway through the cycle between a solstice, winter solstice, and a summer solstice. The other thing is most other civilizations had halfway points between those that were very important to planting and all sorts of other things like that. But to me, the thing that's most amazing is that it's part of, and as you pointed out, whatever religion people adhere to or believe in, some of the things that just haven't changed for, millions of years are the ability and the knowledge to know these kind of celestial clock things. And typically the ones that are so easy to know would be the sun, the solstices and the equinoxes. The moon things are more complicated. Then you get into, Venus and the planets. And then there are bigger cycles too. So I think it's just it's a very unique and humbling thing to just appreciate the fact that goes on. And it is a cycle, and for most people it represents, the kitty's starting grazing already. It represents like a rebirth. Most civilizations were based on the fact that they had to work hard and they had to protect themselves and save food, and they needed to know when it was time to plant, or when it was time to harvest, or when they could expect the salmon to come up the river, or when they could expect, and all of those things over say a civilization that was there for thousands of years in the same place, it was all pretty much marked in the, marked in the travel. Yeah, and it's,
Have a surety like that at that time.
yeah, and again, it's a very scientific thing, but at the same time, it was totally linked to people's existence and to their, their spirituality in the sense that they kind of had to know this to survive. It wasn't just like, well, let's Google what time it is to find something. You had to be aware of your surroundings, and you had to be intelligent in that way too. Today, we have, relative to people who would have lived here 2,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, or as some people now believe, 18 to 20,000 years ago, right in this very area, their knowledge would have been far superior to ours, and they were equally as intelligent or more intelligent because everybody who was alive at any given point in time back then was alive because they had to be smart enough to survive, not that they were just part of a society that just moved along. So, any questions? I mean, that's kind of a basic nutshell.
The question is that the spring and the fall equinox are when the sun is shining directly on the equator. Is that right?
Well, it's at the point where it crosses the equator, that's when day and night are exactly 12 hours. It's split equally.
Directly.
Yeah, there's a point in time. That's like a mathematical point in time where it's an infinitely small point. Where
Right.
Yeah, but
Cool. Well, great. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. That's wonderful. Man, that's great.
oh, I should also mention too. Even if I might have to leave a little early, down at Smart Center, we're doing a spring. We're doing an equinox star watch. And if it's clear at all, we're going to have telescopes set up. We've been able to see the comet for at least a couple of days, when it cleared up. And that'll start it actually starts about 7, but it won't be dark until 8 or so.
Well, that's
now,
great.
you guys were talking about finishing up then. And
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
it's
Anybody
a lot
wants
of fun, and there's hot chocolate.
There you go.
Hot chocolate. Hot chocolate.
Here because of all the people laughing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
yeah,
saying it's a lot of fun, and it's a place with dinosaurs and cool stuff. But there'll be hot chocolate, and we have nice telescopes that we just take out on the sidewalk. And
That's awesome.
all that stuff.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's wonderful.
In the window, but I've never been in there. Now I want to.
Yeah, oh, it's great there. It's really cool. Jenny and I, we went to Ireland in 2005, and we were lucky enough to go visit Newgrange.
Yeah.
And of course, they do like a reenactment of the time during the winter solstice, where the Newgrange is an ancient burial site, and I can't remember, it dates back before the time of Stonehenge, but I'm not sure exactly like how old it is. But it was built in such a way that when the sun rises on the winter solstice, it sends a shaft of light down through the center of this channel into the opening, the center chamber where the ancient kings were buried, and illuminates the entire inside of this burial chamber. So you go into this little tiny, all these crevices deep down, and they turn the lights off, and you can't see your hand in front of your face, and then they do a reenactment where they have lights coming set up so that it lights down, and then all of a sudden the entire room lights up as bright as can be just for a few moments, and then it gets dark again every year right at that same time. And there are beautiful carvings and ancient Celtic spirals and different things all carved into the stone on the inside. It's like, gives you chills. It's unbelievable. So that was wonderful. Thank you so much. As Richard was saying, with the spring equinox, that very process only happens for a very short time. Is that correct? We're just talking like the actual exact moment of.
Oh yeah, it's an infinitely small, the exact moment.
The exact moment, and I think and Robin, you might get into this because you're going to come up next and say a couple things if you want to. For me, what is important about it from that moment on is that it's a time of returning to light, and so not only are we from a physical standpoint going into a period of greater light, but from the spiritual standpoint, it's a time when we can reflect on maybe trying to go into a greater period of light and understanding and things. So if you want to come up then.
And then Point the
Clockwork.
finger at me.
That's right.
Well, I'll leave my big advertisement cup down there. All right. The equinox for me, I've traveled through many different religions before I found the path that I'm currently on, which is spiritualist. I've been Wiccan, I've entered Islam, baptized a Methodist, but something that appeased, I guess, my thirst for knowledge was religion. When I started comparing how others' religions were so similar, and why did we celebrate these holidays? Why is it on the calendar? Why do we celebrate Easter, as Matt was talking about? With the equinox, as a spiritualist and a medium, the energy, which is very high in the room right now because I'm shaking now that I'm sitting in this chair. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Richard, which I should remember that. It's my father's name. How he was describing the energy of the infinite universe. When the planets, when you go as far out as the moon and you try to decipher moments in time on Earth by infinite space, there's so many factors in there with the planet pulls. But on the Earth, when the moon is full and it pulls the tides, it changes things, as everyone knows all those changes. For the equinox, when the time is balanced, equal light and equal day. I'm losing my train. Y'all see I'm way off. What I celebrate is the energy of that moment. I start focusing on bringing the positive to light when the equinox is here. The vernal, which ver is for spring equinox. The balance. I try to focus on the balance, which my day, ironically, has been totally off balance. Just as Matt didn't get his things in order, I didn't get my things in order either. I was working on too many things, scattered energy. But when I go home, when I'm done with this, or hopefully by the time she leaves this ceremony, I'll be ready. But the balance with the energy and trying to welcome that tilt, to take away the shadow, to bring back the light. Even in your thought processes and in the words that you use, when I can see why Matt was a little put off because he didn't have his words ready. You wanted that balance for this particular ceremony. I'm rambling, I know. I'm getting way off.
Great. Perfect.
I really should have prepared something. So anyways, I'll be focusing on anything positive that I want to bring into light, using the law of attraction with this. It's a very important time of year for me. When the fall equinox comes in and things are going to dark, you're trying to struggle to hold on to the light, like, no, we're not going into these depressing times. Well, it's a blessing now that we can let go of a lot of extra shadows, extra baggage, and welcome this in. I think I've rambled.
Yeah,
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I've been reading a lot, mainly the past year, kind of on my own path, really diving into some things. And I came across recently about someone speaking about Mercury being in retrograde and how to be kind of wary of that, because of, kind of how it affects certain energies and things like that. So now that we're coming out of it, I saw a friend of mine on Twitter, he said something like, thank God Mercury's out of retrograde now. So does that happen before every spring equinox that way, or is it just...
Believe it or not, Mercury going in retrograde happens so often throughout the
Yeah.
year, you'll hear it frequently.
So it's not a calendar event as far as...
No, it's not a calendar
coinciding
event.
with the equinox. But now that it is, it has to be pretty significant if it does have that kind of a...
Some people,
pull on your energy.
in my experience, I have one girlfriend that swears nothing changes in her life if Mercury goes into retrograde. And if something does happen bad, then somebody throws that in her face. Well, Mercury's in retrograde, and that's why that's happening
Well,
to you. And
does it
she's,
affect you because you know of it, or would it not affect you if you weren't aware? That's the thing.
I believe it can affect you and does. It blocks communication, changes things around, flips things. You'll have more arguments, more loss of money, in my experience. That's why.
I found myself wanting to be more of a hermit the last month or so because I just didn't want to deal with anything.
Absolutely, and that can be good as long as you use that time for something positive to make some changes in yourself, because I get that way. You know, I've had enough. I have to back down. I have to stay in here. My animals help me out a lot with that, even though they bug me. If you use that time as something positive, meditation, bringing in the light, pushing out anything negative, and words are so important. With the equinox even, words are so important. The power of the written word, the thought, everything is energy and it can't be destroyed. You think a thought, that's a little electric impulse you created. The more power you give to that, the more power it has. The more, from the law of attraction, it's just energy. And with Mercury in retrograde, I would just focus on words. Focus on your intent. If somebody comes at you with something negative, you have to be prepared for that. You should be prepared for that every day, at any time.
That's on my mind a lot, those type of thoughts.
As a spiritualist, a prayer that I learned, that I do before I meditate, I always ask, I say, Infinite Spirit, Mother, Father, God, Creator of all things, alive in all things. And I'm breathing in your white and gold light of protection, knowledge, wisdom. And at that point, I'm shoving out anything that's dark, and I just keep breathing that in. As a spiritualist, I believe God is infinite intelligence. Everybody in the planet can do anything that they want to do. They can be mediums. They are mediums. They're not aware of it most of the time. But you're an energy worker. If you're Wiccan, if you're a Christian, you're an energy worker. You're bringing energy, and when somebody brings you bad energy, you have to find a way to flip it. You might not be able to change them, but you can change what's coming at you. And maybe the little bit of good that spins off of that can help change them from their negative. So their Mercury can be in retrograde all day long. I'm sorry.
I just wondered if it was significant now with the...
It can be. But that's why
Because,
you always have to...
Richard was talking about, how everything's aligned and, with the universe, it's in perfect balance anyhow, so there's no mistakes, it's just how it
Absolutely.
affects us, so.
Yeah, as individuals, this one little spike here, this one thing, and it doesn't take much, one little rock, to rock your whole world. So,
Yeah.
sorry to take too long.
No, there's no too long. No.
Thank you. You're welcome.
We'll do the ceremony here in just a second, but with what Robin was saying, I've been thinking specifically about this spring equinox coming after what I believed was a great change that happened in December, the shift. For me, and hearing you talk about some of the things you were talking about, I'm in a phase now in my life where I'm at a point where I'm trying to be in the space of allowing and not resisting. So if there is negative things happen, and to me, I studied a lot about Yogananda, who talks about wherever your focus goes, so goes your energy. So whatever your mind is focusing on, whatever your consciousness is focusing on, that's where your energy is flowing. It can be positive, or it can be negative. If you're focusing on the positive, that's where your energy is focusing. That's where you will attract. Those are the things you will attract. The love and light, if that's where you're focusing on. If you're focusing on negative, those are some of the things. And when negative things are coming into your life, like Robin said, there's a point where you can push against it and resist, and then you're creating an outpouring of energy that is focused on resistance and fear and things. Or you can be in the mindset of allowing, and then your outpouring of energy is allowing and love and peace and calmness. And so quickly, those things that may have been negative will slowly turn, if you're going with the flow instead of trying to flow against it, will slowly turn into things that are positive and loving and helpful. So for me personally, this spring equinox is a time where I'm trying to release my attachments to things, especially to this outpouring of resistance of anything. If something is happening and I think it's supposed to go one way and it's not going that way, as soon as I tense myself up and I'm in a phase of resistance, that's the energy that I'm sending out, and then everything in my life will reflect that. And if something's not going my way and I'm in a mindset of allowing, and I turn and I go with that flow, then peace and joy and love is what will become part of my life, because I'm not putting out that energy of resistance, that tense energy of resistance. I'm now in a period of allowing. And so I turn and go with the flow, and the flow never guides you anywhere but towards love and light and good. And it's in the resistance of the flow where we get the negative and the dark and the shadow that the spring equinox is now reminding us to turn away from and returning towards the light. And so for me personally, this period of the spring equinox is to say, I'm going to release my attachment to the thought processes that create resistance, and I'm going to reconfigure how I think about things into a space of allowing, to allow myself to be in that flow regardless of how I think life or things should be happening at every single moment. So for me, that's what spring equinox is sort of for now, just refocusing, shaking off the old ways, shaking off the cold and the dark and the damp, and returning to the light, which is a metaphor to me for God or the universal flow, or however you want to say it. So now that I've rambled on for a while, and this energy, I mean, this chair is a little like, I'm like, starting to geek out a little bit here. Like I need to chew on some bark or something.
It didn't start until you did the singing bowl. When you did the singing bowl, I could just see the energy of where you were. Just,
I'm telling you, this singing bowl was a gift from what I consider to be my master guide, spirit guide, through a series of coincidences. So to me, this is an extremely powerful vibrational tool of light. So, Mindy, were you going to say something? No, Jenna.
I was just thinking, when you're talking about resisting the flow, you made me think about water, and I thought if a big crashing wave, which the negativity goes coming at you, and you're trying to hold it back with that resistance, you're really keeping that negativity right near you. And I thought if you were on with water and that's flowing, it's going to flow around you. And
and if you turn and dive with that wave, if the water's deep enough, you might be all right.
Yeah, you might have a chance.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Sarah, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Sit in that chair. You'll be floating up in outer space here before long.
So I just have a very simple ceremony plan to kind of reflect some of the things, and Richard and Robin and Matt kind of hit all the highlights that I'm going to talk about, so I'm just kind of going to back up what they said. And I just want to, first of all, just thank everybody for being here, because I think so often we can focus on, religion-wise or just in general, our differences. And so it's nice to be reminded by people and by the universe that we are connected. And so like Richard said, equinox means equal night, and it's a time of the year where day and night are equal, 12 hours. And darkness is yielding to the light. And light will gradually increase every day until summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. And Robin mentioned the word vernal. some people also refer to it as the vernal equinox, and vernal means to bloom. And so there are some flowers that have bright yellow blooms like a daffodil that can represent the triumph of the sun, or that have yellow centers like a daisy that can represent the sun, or the yolk of an egg. And so obviously one of the symbols of spring, just season, is a bird, and the big symbol of the spring equinox is an egg. And the oval shape of an egg represents the continuous cycles of the season, and it represents, and these are words that they've said before me, new life, fertility, rebirth. And so the ceremony I have planned is that I have these eggs over here, and there are pieces of paper and pins. And so what I would like to do is pass those around, and if you could take one egg per family, that way we'll have enough. And just take 2 or 3 pieces of paper and write down some hopes that you have for the coming season. And so what we're going to do is you're going to write those on the paper and then put them in the egg, and then I have some dirt, and we'll pass that around. You're going to put some dirt on top of it, and then some water, and you're going to put some water on top of it, and then you're going to blow into it. So that way we got earth, air, and water. And then when summer solstice comes, you can take those pieces of paper out and you can burn them, which will be the fire. That way we have all the elements represented. If you would also like to plant a seed in there, I'm not so sure how well it would germinate in a plastic egg, but you can try if you want to. And then I thought after we did that, we could leave them all in the basket and put them in the middle of the room when we meditate. And then you can take them with you when you leave. And if you want to keep them in your house, keep them in the east, because the spring equinox is a festival of the east. Okay?
Kundukiri kumakuiriri kuikwenda mambu masakiri kumputukia mfukitabu bayaya yeya bisukiri ya memba mambu kame ya memba yesi bisukiri mama bonga benu baleki bimpanganda bisakiri kumputu minderi bada sukiri kulondi kya mfuki bwidi baleki byesi bisukiri ya memba mambu kame ya memba yesi bisukiri mama bonga Mariaya, Mariwangazi, Uikeyanga Batasega, Manguri Mpindi, Tamangwana, Ululonganga Kabawaku, Uikeyanga Mimba Kabobana, Unikisaka, Uigoganga Mimba Mwini, Kumagi Kiemba Kikubukiri, Untukiri Kumakuiriri, Utukwenda Mambu Masakiri, Vila Mputusinga Utabukiri Bayaya, Lufolungandi, ya Memba, Mambu Kame, ya memba yesi bisukiri mama bonga Kuna mbaka Kisantu, kuna lemfu kuna kipaku yaya kuna ngiringa kuna bokuma
Nice.
What is it called?
Brassicas.
Might be brassica.
Brassica.
It's like cabbage jam.
Yeah, it can be ornamental and look pretty.
Okay, folks, I thought that we would end tonight with meditation. Let's see how much time we have. Does anybody know what time it is? 7:05. And then we'll do a short meditation, and then maybe about 15, 20 minutes or so. And then afterwards, if there's a little bit of time, people want to hang out and talk, and we'll get to know each other and things. We don't have snacks tonight, babe, but we will on Friday, Good Friday, for the gathering. And we'll be here all night, rocking and rolling.
Wait, I have one more question.
But it's a school night, remember? That's my question. Is it a school night? We better keep on moving.
Well, it's not a school night because the next day is going to be Saturday.
Oh. Nah. Anyway, so don't confuse me now. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm saying. So we're gonna do a meditation, and I'll just do the one of the meditations that I do on a regular basis. And this meditation will consist of the first part will be just a guided meditation where we will, through different breathing patterns, relax the body and center the mind. And then I will talk us into a point where we will just sit quietly for about 10, 15 minutes. And then I will talk us back out of the meditation. So it really, if folks are new to meditation, it would just be a matter of listening to my voice and trying to concentrate very deeply on each part that I say, and allowing yourself to get into a relaxed state and avoiding that state of resistance. We might hear some sounds, we might smell things or see things that would bring us out of a meditation. But just know that everything that we hear, see, or have any sort of sense of is part of the meditation. So just allow it to be a part of the meditation. Don't attach yourself to it, and then release it and let it go. Robin, would you do your prayer for us to get started into the meditation, and I'll talk us through some breathing techniques? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I choose to put my palms up when I meditate with my feet flat on the floor. Infinite Spirit, Mother, Father, God, Creator of all things, alive in all things. Please bring in your white bow light and let us breathe that in. Keep us protected from anything dark. Keep us always forever striving for the light and spreading the light. And thank you for allowing us to gather on this night. Amen.
Now at this time, we will begin to relax the body. We'll start with the tense and relax breathing technique. Or as we inhale, we'll tense the entire body. As we exhale, we'll release the tension within the body. When you tense the body, allow it to be a gentle squeeze, not a jerking motion. When you relax, relax the entire body. So now we will inhale and tense. Exhale, relax. Again, inhale and tense. Exhale, relax completely. Inhale and tense. Exhale, relax. Now at this time I want you to imagine that you're surrounded by white light. This light is below you, above you. It's in front of you and behind you and surrounds you on all sides. Feel as if you are suspended, floating freely within this light. This light is very calm, loving, peaceful light. Just allow yourself to float within. Now I want you to inhale, and as you inhale, I want you to imagine pulling the light light through the toes into the feet. When you exhale, you will relax the feet completely. Inhale. Exhale and relax. Inhale and draw the light through the ankles into the calves. Exhale. Inhale, drawing the light through the knees into the thighs. Exhale, relaxing the legs completely. Inhale, concentrating very deeply on the hips. Exhale, relax. Inhale and draw the light into the belly and abdomen. Exhale. Inhale into the lower back. Exhale, relax the lower back completely. Inhale, draw light into the chest. Exhale and relax. Inhale and draw light to the upper part of the back. Exhale, relax the back completely. Inhale, draw light through the fingers into the hands. Exhale. Inhale, drawing light through the wrist into the forearms. Exhale and relax. Inhale and draw light through the elbows into the upper arms. Exhale, relax the arms completely. Inhale, draw the light into the shoulders and neck. Exhale and relax. Again, inhale, concentrate very deeply on the shoulders and neck. Exhale. Inhale, pull the light into the neck, the back of the head. Exhale, relaxing the back of the head and the neck completely. Inhale into the throat. Exhale. Inhale, draw the light into the jaw and tongue. Exhale. Inhale into the face and eyes. Exhale, relaxing face and eyes completely. are standing in a field. Concentrate very deeply. On this imagery. As you stand in this field, you feel the warmth of the sun shining down on your face. Allow yourself to feel the energy coming from the sun. Feel that energy begin to raise your vibration. Feel a gentle breeze blowing. It's very calm, very peaceful within this field. All around you, you are beginning to see flowers of all different colors blooming around you. Allow yourself to feel the energy of this space, knowing that we are in a period, in an age of returning to the light, not only for this year here on earth, but as human civilization. Feel that you are in the spring of this new age. The light is beginning to shine down on you. Off in the distance, you see a wooded area. Allow yourself to begin to walk towards this area. As you get closer and closer, know that you are about to enter a sacred space that is completely your own. As you stand at the edge of these woods, you see a path opening up. This path is for you. Know that when you begin down this path, you will be protected. It's a very loving, peaceful place that you're about to enter. Once you enter it, it can be anything that you desire. Just know that it is your sacred space. So whenever you are ready, allow yourself to begin walking on this path, spend some quiet time in meditation. sense of peace, love, or joy, any understanding or insights that you may have gained during this meditation. Know that you can bring those feelings and understandings with you to your life here in this manifestation. So whenever you're ready, allow yourself to leave those woods, move back into the field. You're standing, feeling the breeze blow. Seeing the flowers, and the energy of the sun. As you slowly come out of meditation back to this room, bring that energy of the sun with you. And keep it with you. And share it with others. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes, come back to the full awareness of this room. Okay, I'll do a closing. I use this a blessing for lots of different things. I posted the original old Irish blessing of it online on St. Patrick's Day, at the end of St. Patrick's Day. But I often take these ancient sayings and understanding, and I sort of end prayers, especially with Christianity. I take some prayers and I take stuff out that I don't like. Like the idea of, well, I'll get into that during the Easter gathering. So I change them a bit from time to time for how I'm feeling and how I see things. So this is a blessing that we'll close with. It stems from an old ancient Irish, it might even be Celtic, but an old Irish blessing. And it says, may the blessing of light be with you always, light around you, light within you. And may the sun shine upon you and warm your hearts until they glow like a great fire, so that others may feel the warmth of your love. And may that love warm our hearts. And may we take that love and share it with everyone we meet, so that it spreads throughout the world.